Oh my goodness, Joseph, this is quite a film. Did the idea of the hit slang ick give you this premonition for what's to come?
Absolutely not, because I came up with this movie like 7 years ago, and it meant something different back then. Before it turned into a moniker for things that gross out women about men because they ate wrong or they brushed their hair the wrong way. It just meant gross. It just meant icky. And I had this idea for making a movie called Ick, but then it turned into the new version of it, but it still applies, because it's still gross. And if it means men are gross, then yeah, there's a lot of gross men in this movie.
No, Brandon, just no offense, right?
Hey, everybody's doing the best. Got
What
one.
was Brandon, what was it about Hank that drew you to this role? I think he's a little different, a little quirkier than the roles you tend to play, or maybe not actually, thinking
Uh,
back.
yeah, I mean, he's a little less of a hero at the start. He's tarnished. He's the forgotten hero or wannabe hero, and he's living in his own kind of misery and self-pity, which we all have, uh, you know, um, which we all have, as part of our lives, I think at some point. So I drew from that, and my teenage self kind of um, uh, uh, angst kind of coming out through Hank, and as he's raging against the world a little bit, until he finally starts to take charge of things and his life a little bit.
I think there was great on-screen chemistry between you and Mina. Were you guys filming those scenes together? Is it a little bit of
Oh.
CGI for the football works and stuff?
Well, yeah, I mean, we filmed all the scenes, but it was with some help through some de-aging process um, on our faces.
Hey, I'm going to say one thing about our low budget movie. We do something that in a low budget movie that the big budget movies don't do, which is actors together for real
Mhm.
on real sets. That's a real football stadium. That's a real town. Those are real rooms. Those are real cars.
Real sweat on my
We don't
face.
have the money to CG New York in the background, so we shot it in Texas and shot it for real. And that actually is weird in today's world, where you're used to everything being green screened. So the ick, yes, that's CG. There's no way to do it any other way, but everything else is real.
That's a great segue to my next question was this the creature you had in mind, Joseph, when you initially came up with the ick, or did you work with CGI people to sort of flesh out how you finally wanted this being to look?
I mean, I went through the design process pretty early and I kept doing iterations of it, but you don't really know what happens until you actually finally shoot the movie and then you start developing it. And we did our first version of it because the money came in so late because you know how independent movies roll. I had 2 months to get the IC design for Toronto, which was our premiere. So that's a lot of work to do in 2 months for a worldwide premiere. But then afterwards, I got to do basically another year and a half of visual effects on this thing, or another year anyways. And I kept developing, and it's been for the last year, I've been just developing the egg and making it better and grosser and weirder. And to be honest with you, I haven't even delivered the film until 2 weeks ago. So the ick took another year to develop.
Brandon, there's some great moments from filming. I love watching you, walking down that hallway in the school building is cool
Oh,
version of yourself. And I also love those moments where you're in the room with the kids and you just bash out the glass and she's like, you just could have opened it. Are there some particular scenes that were your favorites to film?
yeah, absolutely. A lot of the stuff with the kids was fun because it was just nice to not be by myself sometimes because I did a lot of just Brandon and Hank stuff. Um, and the fight was pretty fun. That is in the cafeteria, the shop room later, even though it was a lot of work. Turned out really well. The football stuff was a lot of fun to shoot because I never got to do that as an actor when I was younger. So I kind of got check off some of those bucket list things. And working with Mina was awesome. She's so funny, and Melina and all of our other, wonderful actors. Um, a lot of the scenes that were inside were my favorite because it was cooler than air
Texas
conditioning.
weather, that's
Yeah.
unfair. Joseph, I have to ask you about this soundtrack. It is epic. Maybe a little more personal for me since I grew up during that time. Were you always looking to set it with like, 20, 2000s, I should say, music and that vibe for the sh for the film?
Well, it first comes from the fact that I wanted to make a starter horror film for younger people. And well, those old Amblin movies like Gremlins and things like that. That you just don't see those movies around anymore. The monster movie was a staple of old Hollywood, and yet you might get a Dracula film every 10 years. You get a Frankenstein film every 20, 30 years, and you get a Wolfman movie every 40 years, right? But that's it. I don't even consider King Kong and Godzilla superhero, I mean, monster movies, because they're like superheroes, basically. They're just beating each other up. So the actual creepy, crawly monster that invades a town, I wanted to see that movie, and I wanted to see something that kids could watch. But you know what they used to do in the 80s that they don't do anymore? They used to put like pop music in movies. John Hughes and even Scream with Wes Craven had some great songs in it. And where did that go? And it's almost like the world became so complex and the corporations fight each other so much that they just sort of like gatekeep everything. And now we don't get to see how the world works because we don't live in a silent world. We live in a world with a lot of music around us. Like after this, you might go in your car and play some music. And that's a reflection of reality. So I wanted that in there. And so I just wanted to get back to the roots of where movies used to be, which is these wonderful pop events.
It's such an incredible movie. I think it's a great mix of comedy and horror. Brendan, is that what you've been hearing from people who have seen the movie? That they love this new iteration, that it's coming back to a time that they loved for horror movies and a little bit of sci-fi as well as thrown in. But there's great comedy moments. It's got a little bit of everything.
Thank you. I mean, yeah, I mean, it satisfies my inner moviegoer who wants to see more of this, who grew up on this um, version of the genre of movie that is, underserved. Certainly, it's something that my son can still kind of watch through, a little bit of closed eyes every once in a while. But I am excited about the movie coming out. It seems from the people that we've talked to so far that the comedy is playing, and that is the heart of the movie. That's what keeps us going. If we don't have you laughing, you're not on the journey with us. So, I think the movie's firing on all levels, and that's certainly exciting.
Joseph, is there a scene that you're most proud of that came from page to screen, how it turned out in the end?
Well, I will say I had to. I'll say this because it was the most difficult scene to shoot. It's that when I decided I'm not going to make the $100 million version movie of this, and now I have to figure out the cheapest way to make this movie. I kind of had solutions for everything except the final scene up the tower. Like, how do I do that? How do I make that happen with not killing all my actors? And how do I do that without turning that? Because if I did that through a Hollywood studio system, that's a month-long shoot. I mean, that's a month long of rigging and visual effects and things like that. I mean, I've seen fight scenes, just fight scenes last over 4 weeks. And this is a full-on climbing for survival with the ick pulling people off towers and all that. I mean, it was intense. And so we built this rig. And it was janky. Like I was really worried this rig wasn't going to work. They assured me from the Texas standards that it was safe, but I don't know. We had to keep repairing this rig. If you remembered, Brandon,
Yes.
something would break, and then
It,
we'd take
it,
it, we'd fix it up again, and then go, okay, go back up there, actors. And if they fell, it would have been really bad. But we got it, and it looks great in the movie. I think that it's one of the highlights of the movie. But that was a very difficult scene to pull off.
movie magic.
Joseph, this is another epic film for you. What's next for you? Have you been busy working on crafting some new projects on your own or directing some new things?
I'm gonna take this movie and walk into Hollywood executives and say, open up your toys, please. I want to play with your toys. I'm out here playing with my cheap toys. Now, let's open up your toy set. Let me go play with some of your equipment. I've got beautiful Brandon Routh over here. Let's go have some fun.
Brandon's just like, yeah, I know.
Thank you.
Brandon, you've been a part of so many wonderful projects, and this is just another great film for you to be in. What would you like to
Thank
say
you.
to people who continue to be such a fan of the works you do?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for, I'm glad that I don't know, the heart, I guess, and compassion that I like to bring to a lot of the characters plays through and is received, and I've received so much, love and gratitude back from people. It's just a cool thing to be able to do this. Some projects resonate more than others, and sometimes I don't even know how they're going to resonate with people, but um, they seem to, and I appreciate that, and I'm happy to keep doing more of it as long as everybody keeps enjoying it.